mean, listening to your story, there are so many moments where I would have tapped out.
Mhm.
So good for you. You're a badass. Holy shit. But so I think Kairos are big on like, if they knew what we knew, they would do what we do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so you obviously know a
Mhm,
lot. Like
mhm.
you have referenced research multiple times. You have done your work.
Yeah,
I'm not so much of like a research nerd. I'm just more of like
that's
my
okay.
gut tells me. But anyways, do you think it's possible? Obviously, it's possible. What are your thoughts on someone who knows everything that you know,
Mhm.
but just how it's safer to be at home. It's the 24
Yeah,
hour, the
yeah, yeah.
timelines, all of that. If you were to insert all of that knowledge around birth into a female chiropractor, like, but they still would do like, I'm still going to do the hospital birth. I'm
Yeah.
still going to do, and I think that like we hang on to this
Mhm.
specifically with chiropractic, you're like, if they just knew about chiropractic
Yeah,
better,
yeah.
they would never take breaks from care. They would get their entire family checked weekly. And
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I think there's a big flaw in that. Like, I think it's possible to
Yeah.
know and still
Be
make
okay with that.
a non ideal
Yeah.
health choice.
Well, and it's not a non-ideal. It's a definitely an informed decision as long as they've done the research, and that may be their safe space too,
Mhm.
which is totally okay. That's the big thing. I would say like number one thing that you have to make sure is 100% congruent is your mindset. Whatever decision that you are making, whether you're at home, hospital, C-section, whatever it is, that you are 100% okay with the outcome or the risk factors of it. And then another thing is just like making sure that you have a great support system in that, because that's the big thing. Like I've had other chiropractic friends go through the hospital, have a vaginal, they have a medicated birth, and great outcomes.
Mhm.
And so there's no right or wrong, so to speak, way to have a baby. It's more of just like looking back and seeing what's congruent with you, where do you feel safe, and where is your mindset going to be the best in that environment.
Yeah.
That's the big 3 things.
And I think that as an individual, like we are each individual chiropractors. Like
Like
you can still be a chiropractor and know all this stuff
mhm.
and you can still make an informed choice
Yep.
that 50% of chiropractors wouldn't choose.
Yeah.
Or, like, and I think just feeling safe in that like for whatever reason,
Yep.
like, maybe it was, like, your pregnancy's super healthy, but your mom had a really
Yeah.
terrible labor, and so you just want to be in a medically safe
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
You
You
wanna
want to
be
be
in
in
a
the
safe
hospital setting,
environment. Yeah.
and just owning that and being like, "That's okay," and there is space for that in chiropractic. I
Mhm.
don't know. I honestly think I think this might be something that we fucked up a little bit because, like,
Mhm.
I don't hear the old guard bragging about their wives' births.
Yeah. No.
Like, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I've never sat and heard Reggie Gold or BJ or
No.
Sigavoos talk about,
You
"My
don't know any.
wife
Yeah.
had an amazing birth." And so then it's
Yeah.
like, "Well, where did this come from?" Oh, farts. I
Yeah.
think we did it. I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
that us female chiropractors, when like,
Yep.
did it. Mabel didn't
No, we
talk
put
about her
the pressure
births.
on ourselves for sure. And that's
Mhm.
the thing too,
And
like
I love to blame the old guard for everything
yeah.
in my life. Like, anytime I can blame them, great. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can blame them."
Well, and social media, right? Like, I do think that is a big thing. It's like you wear this badge of honor on social media, but truly nobody gives a fuck about
Mm-mm.
anything, how you birth, how you raise your kid. All in all, it's all about what is right for you and your family.
Yep.
And then social media just puts on these false, I say false personas because we see it all the time, especially with these mom influencers, entrepreneur, whatever, that have these huge followings. A lot of them do the same type of thing. They're homesteading, they're home birthing, they're talking about every, thing that is going right. But then you meet them in person and you're like, oh, there's actually so much
Yeah.
going south.
Kind of
And
selecting to choose what.
mhm.
Yeah.
I will
So
say, I want to say something on what I do see too as chiropractors, and I see this a lot in the pediatric field as well, is it's like, okay, well, if you have a C-section, then you're setting your child up for ADHD, autism, X, Y, and Z issues. And that to me is a major red flag because I'm like, I have seen great birth outcomes actually have detrimental effects on the
Mhm.
neurology of a child. So we can't just throw, oh, because you had a C-section, these, different things are going to show up in your kid because it can go the other way. So I think that too, as chiropractors, and
But
especially as
Lacey,
female.
it was literally storming the night you gave birth.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right? And I'm like, that especially puts in a negative mindset already in the moms thinking, "Oh my god, I can't have a C-section because my kid's gonna have autism afterwards,
Mhm.
or they're gonna have ADHD."
Yep.
And I'm like, "I can fucking tell you that my child is one of the healthiest kids, and
Mhm.
we had a crazy
But
ass
you
birth."
inserted chiropractic immediately
100%.
to, like, to change, to give Luca the greatest chance
Yeah.
of moving
Yes,
forward.
like the birth outcome, like, yes, C-sections are very traumatic. There's a lot of physical stress on the body, but I will dive deeper into there's actually a big emotional dysregulation between parents that I see more traumas show up post birth. So in the sense of
Mm.
pediatric world. So like Colton and I talk about all the time, some of our craziest cases were home birth or birth centers, totally natural, unmedicated, no interventions, whatever, but they were stressed AF during pregnancy. That's where I see a lot of things show up. And that's the hard thing too, especially as a prenatal pediatric chiropractor who is very, very passionate about birth, is I'm like, well, how can we help those women that are having these natural unmedicated births? The birth process goes great, but why are they still having these outcomes? And
Mhm.
so that's where our focus has been. It's not telling people, oh, because you had a C-section, you're going to have these things come up. Absolutely not. It's like, let's do that pre-work. And that's where preconception for me and Colton are really important. It's like, let's get you way healthy, your nervous system regulated,
Yeah.
getting you adapted before you even think about having a baby. So no matter what the birth outcome is, you and your baby are set up really
Can
good
adapt.
foundation.
Yeah. I
Yep.
love that. And I think there's a moment I'll speak to the more ego-based humans. If one of the biggest concerns is what other people are gonna think about you of like, "Oh, she ended up having a C-section." Like,
Mhm.
it almost makes me feel like what you're assuming, you're mirroring that back to yourself. And so I think it's a good opportunity if your concern is if I have a C-section, other people are gonna have this like, like pointing moment. What is your ego sending out that you think that that's what you would get back if that was the outcome? And so I think that that is a very like, if that is your number one concern, that probably means that on a subconscious level, you're being a dick
Yeah.
about birth. Because if
Yeah.
other people would have anything else than, "Oh my god, or how are you doing?" Like, I know that that's, wasn't your ideal, but I also like anything other than love and support, then it may mean that you're maybe not putting out endless
Yeah.
love and support towards
Yeah.
that birth community.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like you just have to do the inner work no matter
Mhm.
what.